warrior. I never thought I would sit here and have to tell you about recycled children. Yes, our precious children being recycled. But first, I want to remind you, make sure you are subscribed to our channel because so many people are telling me that they do subscribe and then they find themselves when they check unsubscribed. And don't forget to hit the little bell to be notified when new videos are coming out. You'll be updated. And also, we now have a Lynn's Warriors membership. So I wanted to get the housework out of the way before I dive into this recycled children. What am I talking about? We know on the border, and it has been going on for quite a few years now, specifically the last almost 4 years now, that children are appearing, the same children, at our open borders over and over again. Our Border Patrol, our border agents, law enforcement is recognizing that they are seeing the same kids over and over again. The cartels have a completely criminal enterprise going. They're running the border. And having a child is your open passport because people are coming here and they are claiming they are families. And what happens if they have a child with them? The worst part of this, and I hesitated for a second because I got sidetracked on what happened, a woman from Laredo, Texas, admitted just a couple of days ago that she is part of a child smuggling / sex ring with children from the border, and that she would be giving them gummies infused with who knows what to knock them out so that they would be lethargic, they would be sleeping, they would not be able to talk. And that's what's happening. Border Patrol is reporting to us that children, their bodies are limp, they look like they're almost dead, and we know they're being drugged. This way they cannot open their mouths and they cannot say, that's not my mommy, that's not my daddy. Where are these children coming from? Mostly from the areas of like Guatemala, Ecuador, and the cartels have this very well-oiled smuggling / trafficking operation going on. Why is this allowed in the United States of America? I'm going to keep asking it, and you should be asking this too. We cannot forget as we go into the most important election of our lives, in our opinion. Why is this allowed? Why is nothing going to be done? I take complete, I don't even know what the word is, to hear that one of the candidates is going to the border tomorrow, I believe. What's the point? What's the point? I will never tell you how to vote in the upcoming election, but I will tell you, look at policy. Specifically, look at policy for the border, which leads to so many different things. Criminal, trafficking, sex and labor trafficking. A lot to do with kids. But let's get back to this recycling of kids. People, I believe, are becoming habituated. This is becoming normalized behavior, and we cannot allow it in our United States of America. And I don't care what you think about the border. Children. How are they getting back then, for instance, to Ecuador, Guatemala? Again, because the cartels have this well-oiled smuggling / trafficking operation going on. So, for instance, a man may come over with 4 children, and it's presented as a family, and they're told to say this is the father. The woman in Laredo, Texas, who admitted being part of all of this and drugging children with gummies, again, with who knows what's in these gummies. I'm surprised we're not hearing about more dead children. Also had the operation of all these phony birth certificates. So the way it's set up now, our border allows them as families to come here. It is so wrong. So somehow, once that child arrives in, as an example, Texas, they are somehow brought back to Guatemala, Ecuador, Mexico, all these other countries, and recycled over and over again. I have to ask you, where do these children come from? What about their actual parents? I guess they're selling them out for a couple of bucks. Most of these kids, though, will end up eventually, their demise will be, I don't even want to say. I think you know where I'm going with that. We do know right now you should be up in arms about the 500,000 plus unaccompanied minors that to date we know have arrived in the United States. They are somewhere. That's 500,000 kids. Who knows? It could be 750,000. 500,000 kids working. We know a large percentage of them are sex trafficked, labor trafficked. Why isn't anybody talking about this more? So, let's come together. Let's not forget about this, because remember, you may say this doesn't affect me. I'm not seeing anything. It affects each and every one of us. These children that are ending up in our country, somehow, some of them will end up in our school systems, right? Taking away resources from our children. Somehow, they will end up sex trafficked. Somehow. So they're increasing, that's another program with that going on. But also the criminality. And somehow the older kids that are ending up here, and if they're in the schools, now follow the thread here, are dealing the drugs from the criminal cartels, and also they are getting our American kids, and I keep talking about this, to traffic their peers in middle and high schools, right? For instance, a boy might pretend he's likes a girl, say they're 14 years old, and they have a couple of dates, and the next thing is he asked her to do something sexual for him as a favor, and she does it because she thinks the kid's in love with her, and that is a form of trafficking. So we cannot forget about this border. How dare anybody recycle precious children? We have to be the ones to stay on top of this. I urge all of you, House.gov, Senate.gov, find out who represents you, write to them. Everybody's email's right there. As a constituent, you're allowed your 15 minutes. If you're brave enough, call, because they keep records. This is unacceptable. Our hashtag at The Warriors is Community Creates Change. I want you to think about when you vote, and everybody must get out and vote. We have 6 weeks until we actually have election day? No matter what you think about this, we must exercise our right to vote and pray. And don't forget about all these kids they're calling recycled kids that are being drugged at our borders and then somehow dispersed into our country or brought back to these other horrible places and recycled. Unacceptable. Community creates change. Join us always at The Warriors, lynswarriors.org. And each and every day when you wake up, remember this: go out and be a warrior.